say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
You are as precious to me as you were to your own mother and father. I swore to them that I would protect you, and I haven't.
The twilight's last gleam.
The mayor's gonna dump him in the spring.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But he's a hero.
A war hero. This is peacetime.
You think this can last? There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne. You and your friends better batten down the hatches. Because when it hits, you're all gonna wonder how you ever thought you could live so large and leave so little for the rest of us.
And now the epic conclusion of talking about The Dark Knight. God damn, I'm tired of talking about The Dark
In
Knight.
our 6-part series.
I know. This is like
Brought
Dark
to you
Knight
by
Week on
Spill.
this site.
I know.
No one could accuse us of not being whores.
But you know what? People have wanted us to talk about The Dark Knight in detail.
Especially me, surprise, surprise.
I know.
Mr. Coleman over there. Nobody wants to hear what co-host has to say.
Of course they want to hear what you have to
People
say.
want to hear co-host talk without you like diminishing his opinion before he even gets it out.
I never diminished his opinion.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you said it was just fanboy talk, I thought that was diminishing his opinion. But
Yes,
maybe I was
thank
wrong.
you so much, Leon.
When did I say that?
Oh, we have it documented. Don't worry. Somebody will bring it up.
Is it? Did I say it in a review?
Yeah.
Oh, you said it in the review, and you also said it to somebody we actually know that's really close to us.
Who?
Bert. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know
I didn't know that.
No. You
Bert
know,
told me immediately when I talked to him, I want to talk to you. And now, before I tell you anything, just let me say that I asked Corey, and he was like, it's like, well, co-host's opinion. He's like, well, don't listen to co-host. That's the ranting of a fanboy. Don't ever listen to that fool.
Oh, now
And I
you know
was
what? Now,
Oh, really? Okay.
You know what?
Oh.
I never said that to
Well,
him.
unless
the
my
truth
friend
shall be revealed.
Unless my friend is lying to me, and I
Oh
was just
my
like,
God,
wait a minute, stop the presses. Wait, what?
Bert don't lie.
Yeah,
No, Bert
is
does
no
lie.
liar.
Because then I would say that to Bert's face and be, Bert was here or
That's
Bert was
what-
on the phone. I would say that I never said that. Those
Okay.
fucking words I never said,
All right.
man.
Well, I
and
will-
Bert, I'm telling Bert right now.
You don't want to back a wild animal into a corner.
No. Hey, don't
Bert,
worry.
Bert, I can tell, and Bert right now, if he's listening, Bert, I never use those words.
Okay.
And I can tell you.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt.
Bert, I told you not to say anything.
I will give you the benefit of the
You know
doubt.
what?
Even though you did say in the review, it's like, well, co-host, everyone asked what me, Leon, and Cyrus have to say, and you said to them, well, what about co-host? Oh, don't worry. I know exactly what Cole's going to say. He's going to give that shit.
Well, people
some
did say
better,
that
he's
to me.
better
I ain't gonna
sex. Okay, sure, Captain Matinee. But,
Captain Matinee from the guy who only has 2 reviews. Bullshit and better than sex.
yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
you're right.
But
You got
you know
me beat.
what?
You got 2. I got 1.
I'm just laying all my cards out.
Are we going to get around to reviewing Lockout or what?
Cyrus, let the,
No,
You're ruining the review.
Yeah, exactly.
You're ruining our
The
hits.
drama right here. Come on, man. You know how much we rehearsed this today?
Cyrus just feels bad that he's being left out. Sorry. Hey, I thought that was our thing, co-host.
No, man. No.
I got to
But that's
get
okay.
something fast.
That's okay.
Wait,
plus Corey,
don't feel bad, Coach. You know, like black people don't do good movie reviews. It's all right.
Oh, no, well, hey, I never said that.
Neither
co-host
did
was
I.
talking about your mama earlier today.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh, well, he probably got that
Yeah,
right about that
she-
bitch. I mean, shit.
Hey.
No, man.
She's a great cook.
Hey, look, you know what? I can tell you exactly what I said to Bert. Because I ain't lying. Because Billy and I had this discussion today. Because I told him, I said, look, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. Because when he called me, I said, I know you love this movie. I'm not trying to say anything. And then when he said, well, I feel the same way about Coles, and I know everybody has their opinion about it. And I said, listen, I said, co-host thinks that I am probably nitpicking, And I don't blame him. And I think, and I told him this. I said, I think that when co-host sees a movie with the character or property that he really loves, and Bert can Bert, fuck you, man.
No, don't finish your sentence.
No, I'm gonna finish your sentence.
No, it's easy to say, Bert, fuck you when he's not standing here over you, looking down on you.
Well, I'll be
with that big voice of his.
I'll be down the street. Hey, Bert. Of course. No.
But go on.
What I said was,
you with those big ass legs.
Yeah.
Trying to outdrive him. He's right in your rearview mirror.
I get out the car. He's still standing there. God damn, where'd you come from? No, what'd you say? I said, thank you. Thank you for being a good friend. No, I said, when you see a property that you love, I think that when you see something like Batman,
Okay.
The Predator,
Yeah.
or Green Lantern,
Okay.
or any other movie that you love, I think it's hard for you to really criticize it.
Oh, okay. Well, not only did you say that, but Billy is saying that too.
Billy said that.
Oh, really?
You know what?
Okay.
Since we go, I'm throwing everybody out. If I'm going down, I'm taking every motherfucker with me.
So apparently, when I see these movies, I already have my mind made up. Is that what you're telling me?
You know what? I think to a certain extent that you can't say that it's bad.
So what Bert told me is exactly true then.
No, Bert said, I said, you're doing the ramblings of a fanboy. I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. Well,
I told you what
I said the same thing with different words.
with different words.
No, I didn't say you were rambling. I said you were
Well,
rambling.
that's pretty much.
But hey,
But you know what? I'm like, look, man. The thing is that when I give a review, I think people understand. They see where I'm coming from, and I hope I don't sound like I'm like making the ramblings of a fanboy, because I love film. I love great storytelling, and the thing is, I want to be honest, especially with a property like this. That yes, I do care about this property, because you know what? The first two films, they had a big impact on me on what you can do with a superhero movie. How you can just make it something that you never thought. Wow, this is more than just a superhero. It's just a great movie, and I always hope I'm honest and letting people know exactly like how I see these things and how I review them. I never want to give them. I don't want to make them feel shortchanged because I'm a fanboy, so don't worry about anything. I'm going to give it the review. All you guys who are just as much of a fanboy as I am, I'm going to give you exactly what you want to hear. I hope I never come across
To be
like
fair,
that.
If I may, he did give a bad review to Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No,
to be fair,
actually, you did not give a bad review. You said you gave it a matinee. And you said tonight I can't say that I saw a bad movie, and the rest of us was like, well, we kind of did.
To be fair, I did win $50 in the office pool that you were going to give this better than sex. But it was only 50 because there was only 2 guys who voted against it.
But
Well, sure.
But the deal is,
Sure, right? Come on,
The
that's a
deal is
given.
what you're looking at it as like I went off saying, "Oh, that guy's crazy. He like anything." It wasn't like that. It was.
Well, we were also at a bar this weekend where Leon was there, and that's pretty much the gist of what I got from that other
Well,
conversation.
when we were at now, here's the deal. When we were at this party, I don't know if you were serious, but I was joking around when I was like in that discussion with you, because I don't give a shit about a movie enough to sit up here and try to convince anybody to like get on my side.
And I know, but I'm just saying that's when I heard it, I was like, I didn't think anything of it until later on. I heard that somebody told me, well, your opinion was told to me that I shouldn't treat it all that much of opinion.
Well, the thing I'll say that is this, in all seriousness, is that your enthusiasm is much more palpable than I think a lot of ours is for films when there's things you really, really love. And I think that maybe you do escalate your feelings about things a bit more because of that, but you also explain them very well. So it's not like you're just like, it's good, shut the fuck up, the end of story.
Yeah, it's Batman,
you
shut
actually
up.
explain your points on that. So there's like, whether or not I may feel like your opinion is heightened positively because of that pre-existing stuff, you do, in fact, for those people who feel the same way you do, you elucidate it quite well.
Well, thank you very much, Cyrus. I will continue to not treat you like a dick. I'm not here to change Corey's opinion about the movie, Leon's opinion, or Cyrus's opinion. I respect your opinions, and I do, to an extent, see where you're coming from, but I'm not here to change people's minds about this movie.
And that's what I say all the time with everybody about everything, too, including Spider-Man 3. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. I enjoyed it. I enjoy it every time I watch it.
Why are you so mad that you like it?
Yeah. And the thing is, co-host, you know what? if The Dark Knight Rises had been directed by Wes Anderson, Cyrus would have gave it a better.
Yeah, he would have.
It's an interesting take on the property.
I don't want to see that movie.
No, listen, this is
Stop lying.
No,
you do.
I really
know you
don't.
want to see that.
Listener.
like I said, I don't feel bad about shit, including what I thought about this movie. And
Don't, because I'm not asking you.
And no, I'm not. I know you're not asking me to, but there's a lot of people that I know. Like more people than me love the movie, and so a few people are saying, okay, they heard the review, and they're still saying things like, "Oh, you didn't like that movie. I liked the movie." Oh, what do you mean by plot holes? Including, I've said this before. Somebody sent me a definition of plot holes, and what is it about? Oh, Corey, let it go. This isn't The Dark Knight. That you're trying to compare this, which I never was.
We all did. Come on.
I mean, no. Well, there's a way to talk about the movie as a movie, and then there is no way you cannot talk about this movie without comparing it against
The Dark Knight in its title.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the sequel to that last movie.
Right.
You have to talk about it in context of that.
And I think any sane person would, any sane person is not going to make that argument. Well, you need to judge it on its own merits. It's like, well, no, it is part of a big trilogy. It's a trilogy that ties everything together. It's the last of a big, huge story arc.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't you judge it?
And the sad thing is that we used up all our time on this fight.
Exactly.
Now we have to talk about The Dark Knight Rises.
Well, I'll probably shorten it anyway because
No, I
I don't remember Lockout being short.
No. If you want to leave it in,
yeah, good point.
No,
I don't remember
I'm listening to you.
being
I'm saying if you think it's too long, I'll
No,
edit it.
I'm just teasing.
I mean, I'll leave it in there.
Stop teasing. Don't give him any ideas.
I ain't cutting shit if I don't need to.
No, I'm just saying.
You know,
we use up all our time. Now we got to record the actual Dark Knight review next week.
Well, no. You know what? We'll be like 15 minutes
Dark
in.
Knight Rises behind the scenes wobble.
Dark Knight Rises again, guys.
Rises and keeps on rising.
But what I want to do was
That would be
explain.
hilarious if all we ever did was talk about how we're going to do this review and just get sidetracked and
never get to it. Yeah.
Keep talking about other shit that has nothing to do.
But you know, I think I think you can praise the movie without spoiling a whole lot. There was a lot that I want to say in our review that I couldn't say because they were true spoilers. And
absolutely.
And just like Prometheus, where we talked about that, and we were able to go into length about what it is that we had complaints about, and even things that we loved. I think this is opportunity, especially for me, to come in and explain to people exactly what those things are that bothered me in this, because I think this is a good movie, but I don't think it's a very good script all the way through.
I'm curious myself, because whereas I had some problems with this as well, obviously, I still really enjoyed it. And I heard like that term, you specifically saying plot holes, is where I actually, and some other people as well, you weren't the only one, but like that's where I get a little lost, because I'm like, that's one thing I didn't notice was plot holes. So I want to know, I mean, I'm not coming at you aggressively about this. I do really want to know what you consider to be the plot holes here.
Okay, well, let's take everything in stride here. Let's start with a little bit of setup. And on something that I think that three of us here were at least talking about when we talked about it this weekend, is that the reason why I don't think that this script is very good is because I think that they tried to cram a whole lot into one epic movie, and it's a bigger story than one movie.
Felt like it should have been two movies.
It should,
That's
really
what I was going to say. This should have been two movies, and we were talking about ways that this could have worked to the movie's advantage. And I know that some people say, well, if it was two movies, it would have been stretched out too far.
That's
two
what
movies
I
would
say.
Too been thin, but I don't see that at all. I would have loved for this to be two movies.
Consider this, like the movie's almost 3 hours. And if you opened it enough to where it was 4 hours, where you could like actually develop some of those parts and not just rush them, 2-hour movies, that's a average length. That's nothing
And
wrong
believe
with
me,
that.
I'm not one to say I don't want to see more Batman, but at least with this film in particular, I thought they gave me at least what I thought they were trying to get across with the stories. Which to me, this movie itself is 3 parts. It's the return, it's the fall, and it's the rise of Bruce Wayne and Batman, and as well as Gotham City.
check-
It was like a trilogy all in itself.
Well, check this out. What if the movie had been 2 parts, and the first part is The Dark Knight Falls, and the movie ends.
Well, you have to have the return first.
Well, no.
you're saying, it
The
ends
Dark
at the
Knight
fall?
Falls. Well, let me just explain.
Okay.
The Dark Knight, and here's where we get into our spoiler area right here. The Dark Knight Falls. If you haven't, if you've seen the movie, you know that Gotham at some point is taken over by Bane. It's cut off from the rest of the world, and
Bruce loses all his money.
And Bruce Wayne is broken. He's a broken man. He's left to watch Gotham crumble, and Gotham is pretty much a lawless territory. And I thought, movie one, The Dark Knight Falls, it ends with Batman broken back physically, broken spiritually, hopeless. Gotham isn't hopeless. I mean, people don't know what's going to happen, and
That's we talked about this, and I was going to say the reason that doesn't work by itself is because it's too hopeless. You can't end the movie without a glint of something new of hope, which is why I would have moved that whole little ending thing with Blake sort of like integrating and finding the Batcave. I would have moved that to the center and have that be the sequence. The last thing you actually see is him discovering the Batcave, and make that a more prominent part of the film.
But what about
itself.
The Empire Strikes Back? That
I was going to say,
there's still a lot of hope there. He's been rescued. He's not sitting at the bottom of a fucking bleak well thinking he's going to die while Gotham is in flames.
I don't think that.
I don't know. I think they just have people like anxious to see what's going to happen next.
The point is, that Batman is going to come back. It's just that how is he going to come back? That's a cliffhanger. When you end something on a cliffhanger, you're thinking, man, how is anybody going to get out of this? And then we get to the second movie, The Dark Knight Rises. Now, the reason why I think it should have been 2 movies is because in that last part, they tell you that these cops have been, once Bane has taken over and blown up every bridge and route to Gotham, these cops are trapped underground. People have been living in fear because Gotham has been taken over by criminals and insane people. I'm thinking I didn't get any of that. We were, like Leon said, we were told that this has been 3 months. It did not feel like 3 months at all to me.
What a great opportunity that would have been to spend 20 minutes or so and have a few minor Batman villains appear running around the streets or something.
That's what I told, actually, like that's something I told Bert. What if the Penguin had his own part of town or something?
In the original, in Batman Begins, Zsasz was in it, if you remember.
I remember.
It was a similar sequence where all the inmates of Arkham Asylum are running around the city, which is one of the best parts of that whole freaking movie and the whole series in general. And Zsasz gets a couple different appearances. You're like, oh, wow, that's a perfect thing. They don't make a big deal about it, but here's this complete psycho lunatic that's got a big, rich Batman history that was just a little thing there for the fans.
Exactly.
And that would have been an awesome opportunity.
What if we had like an Arkham City type scenario in the second half? I mean, we actually got to see.
But the thing is,
don't get ahead of yourself.
But no, I'm not getting ahead of myself. But what I'm saying is like all I'm getting creative here. But basically, all I'm saying is that all those ideas aside, we could have opened up the second movie with actually getting the feeling that there has been lawlessness and despair and people in survival mode in Gotham instead of just being told that. I think that was not good storytelling.
Can I explain why this is this is another issue that
is definitely your turn?
This is an issue that I hear a lot about, to where I'm like, you know what, I understand where you're coming from with that. That would have been great, but the thing is, it's one of those situations, again, that I also notice online where people are like, well, wouldn't it have been great if this would have happened, if they would have introduced all these other characters? And I'm like, well, sure, if it were your movie. But it's not your movie. It's not the context of what this story is trying to get across. It's not about introducing new characters so we can have a whole, like, we're not trying to recreate Arkham City here, the video game. We're not trying to recreate exactly everything they did in Nightfall, because you're taking away from the story of what the meat is of that story, which is Bruce Wayne's story. Sure, I would have loved to have seen all that stuff, but what I got from the movie, especially with the time passing, it's like, yes, that Gotham has been under, martial law as far as under these terrorists. And, there wasn't a moment where it ever took me out of the movie where I'm like, wow, Gotham. I know people's like, well, Gotham looks too clean. Well, it's been like 8 months. You could tell all that debris. There's moments that you just pay attention that, they pretty much locked down the city. All those cars and everything, they're all blocking up all the tunnels and everything. And I just got that sense of, wow, this is the skeleton of a city that used to be. They stripped it bare.
You know what, to respond to that,
I got that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not asking for all the villains and anything. I'm just asking for a sense of, because I don't think it's a Bruce Wayne story. I think it's a Bruce Wayne story and a Gotham story. Gotham City.
Well, I said that.
Is what he's fighting for. And I'm just asking for something that doesn't, I'm sorry, I just did not feel that Gotham was in any kind of despair at all. I felt like that was totally rushed, and I'm not asking for villains, I'm not asking for Arkham City, I'm just asking for a sense of scope
And if
of
they
the
had,
city that's locked
if
down.
they had brought this into 2 movies, then certainly that would have been something they would have focused on. But honestly, we are doing that thing that's so tempting to do, but really isn't criticism, which is saying, "Here's the movie I would have made."
No, I don't do that at all. To me, it's just that the time that was supposed to have elapsed, because they were packing so much into one movie, I didn't get that sense of the time. It's like they told me, so I had to like mentally go, okay, this is much time has passed, but I didn't feel it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make my own movie. I'm saying what he's saying. I just don't have that sense of
to
scope
the sense
there.
that we're elaborating on it, we are. But I do agree with you guys, and I think one of my problems with this film is there's a lot of that going on. There's too much of the film telling us what's happening,
Yeah.
and not enough of them showing us stuff happening. And I just find that, especially with a Batman movie, much more affecting, especially when you balance this versus the first 2 films, which has a lot more of doing in it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like Batman Begins is the most Batman-y of the 3 films, where he really gets to pull it all out.
yeah.
And as the films go along, there's like less and less Batman in it till we get to this one, where he's really kind of barely in the movie.
If I
the
could
last
say-
20 minutes.
Yeah, until the last
and if
20
I can
minutes.
respond to what you're saying, I'm offering suggestions on what they could have done.
Sure.
I'm not asking for this one specific desire to see this thing. I'm just saying, just give me some kind of way to get that sense of me being shown something instead of just being told.
Well, a lot of my problems,
that's a
though,
suggestion
is
of
a
mine,
lot
that's
of these
all.
problems that we're talking about is more to do with in reflection of the first 2 films. Of course, we were saying like I wanted it more like these films, and I did want it to be more like those films because I love them so much. But I think it still does work on its own as its own thing. I just don't know if it was the right last chapter. It felt like this should have been the middle chapter more. It's just not exciting enough. There's not enough great Batman moments in it. I mean, the only moments in it that made me go, "Oh, that's an awesome thing Batman just did," was stuff with his Bat Pod.
Yeah, that pod was awesome.
But
Yeah,
Which is amazing.
Which is much more cooler Batpod stuff in the second movie than there is in this one.
But saying that, what I loved about this last movie is that it was more of what I actually loved about the first Batman movie, where it's a journey story. It is Bruce's journey from him being Bruce Wayne to being Batman. So for me, when Batman's not there, and I was really surprised by this because it was one of those things that was on my mind. It was like before I even saw the movie, I was scared. Like, I hope this isn't one of those things where the hero is taken out, like the physical presence of Batman is taking out to where you don't see him and you miss him and you feel like he's not there, to where the villain is the one that's getting all the, the villain is the one that's getting all the focus.
Yeah.
And with this story, I was really astonished how just seeing Bruce Wayne go through his trials, what this movie put him through, to where every time I saw Bruce Wayne, I didn't just see Bruce Wayne, but I did see Batman. It was like every time, even when him in that hole, which was like a metaphor for the Lazarus pit, seeing him like trying to get back to his city, realizing how much it meant to him. Him telling those people in that cell how much that city meant to him. I mean, that seemed like the most purest form of what Batman is and why he does what he does.
And it's
I
a
just,
bookend.
And I just fell in love with that, to where I didn't miss Batman because I saw Batman throughout all of that.
It's
Bruce
a
Wayne's
bookend
actions
for exactly what happens in Batman Begins, which I understand, like this whole sense of making a circular story makes a certain amount of sense. But even so, I felt like we had already watched Bruce Wayne earn his way through these type of realizations. So to see him such a spiritually broken man right in the beginning, I'm like, were you not paying attention at all through the last 2 films? Why do we have to go through this again? And it was kind of exhausting to me. I was like, I wanted to see Batman kind of at the top of his game because, like I said, he earned that for us as audience members. We were there with him, and we start with him already broken.
Well, you know
and
what?
I go, that's just in a thematic way. It bugged me. I was like, it was an anticlimactic beginning to a big third chapter.
I get what he's saying, though. I get what Coles is saying, because I love that. I mean, I love that somebody came in, and right when he thinks that he can start to leave things alone, he comes back and somebody breaks him down. Again, it comes back to, I just don't think it was conveyed very well. And speaking of that hole, that ditch that he was in, that pit or whatever, that's where a big plot hole comes in to me. And maybe somebody can explain it to me without saying, well, I think that this is what happened. No, because I think that they need to explain it. When he got out that pit, how the fuck did he get back to Gotham? And how did Bane get him there? And so fast. And how did Bane get him there so fast?
Yeah. Bane get him there? So
because Bane had to put him there.
Well, I would
they
presume
just
that-
hopped on a private jet.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But you see, that's what I'm saying. That's what we're
guy
talking
has
about. We're like saying,
resources.
well, he
Yeah.
maybe did, but let's just say that Bane could have taken him
no,
there.
no, Bane getting him there. That's not an issue because
Yeah.
we see Bane has resources, but
and
it's
he
a
did
question.
this. Yeah, he did that before Gotham was in martial law.
that's-
Nobody was
But the
looking
question
for
of
it.
how Bruce got all the way back to Gotham so fast and got into Gotham when every way was blocked. That's the question.
what exactly. That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking now. I think they should have probably gave us some explanation or gave us some hint of how he got.
Bat submarine.
But I can understand. I can let that go. If I watched the movie and he was in that pit and the movie was like, I thought that script was great, I wouldn't have ever questioned how he got in.
You know the funniest thing though about that is like somebody asked about that and I read the response and it's like, because he's motherfucking Batman.
That's the obvious answer.
But the thing is, I always thought, well, Bruce is a world traveler. Bruce has a lot of connections.
Yeah, that's what I
when you
thought,
think about
too.
the sky.
Okay.
If you think about the Dark Knight, getting information, like he has contacts outside of the U.S. that can get him into places. They can fucking fly a jet, a huge like cargo
Fucking
plane.
Justice League,
over.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. It's like exactly.
He just called Superman.
I know.
to
Yeah,
drop
but,
my ass
but
off.
if a Justice League exists, how come they didn't just come in and fuck Bane up?
Well,
and
just knowing his contacts, especially with his world travels. I mean, it was one of those things where you just think back to Dark Knight, where it's like, well, he got a guy to fucking come in, go to Tokyo, and smuggle a guy
Drug
out.
smugglers, yeah.
Well, but see, they kind of showed us that. See, this is where the difference between somebody who doesn't like the script and somebody who does like it does. People who like it are willing to say, well, he's Batman, he has this and that. I'm thinking this is a place where no one can find anyone. Bane made sure that he gets out, and not only does he come up in a desert where he doesn't know where he is, and he has nothing on him. He has nothing on him. I'm sure he's
Except for
resourceful.
all his mental resources,
Well, I'm sure,
experience, and training.
I'm sure that, but I'm just saying. This is what I'm saying because we can all debate this. What it comes down to is that I think that was poorly written. Some people wouldn't let it go, but see, that's the difference. That's just me. I'm not arguing with anybody.
I see what you're saying because that's the kind of thing that it doesn't go without explanation. It does need some, even though you can't figure it out. I mean, you can't put something together. What you can't put together is how you only have 5 seconds to drop a nuke, and somehow it goes off, and you aren't blown away. I don't care if you jumped out of the bat,
Yeah.
in the middle of the ocean, which you would die from anyway. Say you're an Olympic diver, but with only 5 seconds away from that thing, you are dead.
Can I tell you my
You
theory
be Batman
on that?
all you wanna be.
Can I tell you my theory on
Okay.
that? Remember when Blake was looking over at the city and then you saw that huge explosion of that building, all the black smoke and everything, where Blake was like, oh shit, it's happening. Kids, get on the bus, duck and cover.
Yeah.
And then that's when the kids realize out of that black smoke, the bat is coming towards them.
Uh-huh.
And also, if you remember at the very end where Lucius,
Said
he was
that,
like,
yeah.
he's trying to fix that
Right,
whole
right,
autopilot.
right. It's autopilot, yeah.
Yeah, he's fixing the autopilot. I'm sure in that black smoke, something happened. Something much, like he ejected himself.
Yeah, sure, he's
'Cause
Batman. He's good at disappearing.
Yeah,
Plus,
he still
you
had to
have to ex-
co-pilot. Yeah,
you have
even
to
though you see a
accept
shot
this.
of him, you see a shot of him in that thing. And I'm like, he could have easily been co-piloting that wherever he was.
And early on, he had to have already been planning to use this as a chance to disappear because there's all these
Yes.
series of events and things he makes a point of telling certain people.
Sure.
So they all expect there's no way he could get out of that. He was planning well before that to get the fuck out of there anyway somehow. I mean,
See,
this was all part of a plan.
I don't buy
so.
that. I think there's too much that's willing to be explained away by people, the fans of Batman, to say, well, he's Batman. He can do anything. I think we already know he's Batman. The thrill is in knowing how he does it. James Bond can get out of anything, but we know that James Bond's going to live another day. But we need, I think it's the next.
He's
time
going to die another
Well, it's
day.
like, did you need a scene of Batman in the Batplane, ejecting where he's in there?
Well, you know what?
Like they do with every traditional
you know what?
movie
The
you
close,
see.
but the thing is, I'm willing. I can at the end, I can kind of let that go because that is the last. That's the mystique ending of Batman. It's like
Right.
we think he's dead, but somehow he got away, and I can let that go because that's the mystique of it. But I think that there's other parts of the movie where they're just saying, well, he's Batman. He can do anything.
Actually, there's a theory that he didn't get away, that he actually died. And Alfred, that's
It's
too
hallucinating.
coincidental that Alfred is seeing him and Catwoman. It's like just Alfred's imagination. Like
It's an Inception
I wish
moment.
my
I
old
was going to
friend-
say
It's an Inception
a
moment.
lot of people have been calling the ending of this very similar to Inception in that sense because there's enough ambiguity there that you're like, is that what happened? Did
I actually like
Alfred
that
really
though
see
because
it?
I thought the same thing. Like maybe Alfred he really doesn't see him. I actually think that's a brilliant way to end the movie.
It is.
To end his version, Christopher Nolan's version of Batman. Batman, I thought that was, and I got that when I saw the movie. I was like, this could be definite or it could not be. This is a true moment where people can actually take away this meaning of Batman for themselves. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I mean it is kind of, it's hard too to read where some people thought that whole ending was hokey, where it's like, oh come on man, did Alfred have to see him? I'm like, well, that's another big story right there, just the relationship between Bruce and Alfred, where it's like Bruce finally, not only did he just give back to the city or whatever, he gave back to Alfred. He gave Alfred his dream.
I mean, he would,
and I thought that was a sweet and endearing moment.
He would go there to the place Alfred said, I thought I saw you, I wish I'd see you, just to go like, hey buddy, everything's okay.
To where it's just Bruce like really telling, look, Alfred, I love you, man.
More importantly, he did not leave the city without a Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right from the first movie, there's a lot of discussion about this whole thing. Look, I don't want to be Batman forever, and about like, oh, he's looking for someone else to take up the mantle. Like originally, that's what Harvey Dent was supposed to do.
Because I know all through the second movie, he's just looking for an out.
He's looking for a way out.
He's
Exactly.
Like, fuck,
so
I can't keep doing this. I want my girlfriend
but
back.
At the same time, he knows that Gotham does need a protector who does things that the police can't do or that normal people can't do. And I love the fact that I can't believe that, like, after all my protesting, I'm very happy that they made Robin a part of it. I turned to him, I was like, fuck you, Leon.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's so clever.
I mean, everybody was even saying before the movie came out that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that's fucking Robin.
Yes.
All right.
I said, I mean,
Every time I said it, people shouted me down.
Really?
I was stupid.
When I
watched say people, I'm looking to the guy
I
sitting to my
know.
left.
when I watched Inception,
He was kind of Robin in name only.
when I watched Inception, the scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is having that fight in that hallway, where that hall is spinning around, the first thing I thought about was Robin. Then I thought about Spider-Man. I was like, if they're going to do Spider-Man, that's it. The guy is capable. I was like, wow, this guy's really selling me that he could be an action star. And watching The Dark Knight, I was like, yeah, he really can be that action star if he wanted to be.
But to be fair, co-host, whenever you see something, you think about Robin.
I do. That'll give you. But I do love how, it's funny because, like, I've always read Nolan was like, I don't know. I want to know how to. I would not introduce Robin because I don't know how that would work in a real world setting where you have this kid. I mean, a kid who's running around with a grown ass man fighting mobsters is like, how does that make sense to anybody? How does that seem responsible for Batman to allow that to even happen?
And he doesn't do that. And here, the Robin thing is really, like I said, it's in name only. Yeah. And it's more of a wink to the audience, when in truth, this is Nolan's Bat universe.
Exactly.
It's very different from the comic Batman. And here, it is literally him finding another capable person, a full-grown adult, to take over the role as being
I've
Batman.
always said that if Christopher Nolan did Robin, when people complained about Robin and a Christopher Nolan Batman, I said, look, if anybody can make it work, he can.
I'm like, look, you got a guy running around in a leather/rubber suit fighting crime. Having a teenage sidekick ain't that big of a stretch.
Yeah.
You can make that shit work.
And I love the fact that another thing which I can praise Nolan for doing his homework. I mean, watching that, I was like, that Blake character was such it was a combination of Tim Drake and even Terry McGinnis, where and that's what I love about this series. It pays attention to the source material, but really shapes it into its own thing. Because when I was watching this, all I thought was, okay, this is basically the Return of the Dark Knight, Nightfall, No Man's Land, Batman Beyond, and even Arkham City. Where what I loved about the whole Catwoman being involved with this movie was the choice that they gave her at the end, where I'm like, wow, I guarantee these guys have played Arkham City, because there's a moment at the end of that game where Catwoman is given a choice. Do you want to stick around, or do you want to come back and help? And do
you know what?
something,
That's Catwoman brings up 2 points to me, and no matter, I've heard
the tips of her ears.
I've heard, yo man, terrible as USB thumb drives he had on it. I'm thinking, there's 2 things about Catwoman in this movie that bother me. And one thing with her leads to a bigger issue. I'm gonna start with the bigger issue, and this is something that people have explained to me. We've even had discussions about it, and this is just a personal thing with me. It is, and I can't get around it. And this is something I wish I had seen in the movie. This is something where if it was my movie, I would want it. But I'm not convinced that this whole antagonistic relationship between Bane and Batman, this rivalry, where you have 2 guys who are equally of the same fighting skills and power, except Bane is just a little more powerful. I just didn't get it when they finally had to have that final challenge with each other. To me, these guys should have should have had this epic battle instead of just a fist fight in the middle of the street. They should have. Batman should have almost been broken again, but figured out how to beat Bane this time, and they should have been just bloody and
Yeah.
beaten in the middle
I
of the
wanted
street.
a fight like the one Tom Hardy has at the end of Warrior. Is that the name of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those.
I never
where-
saw that, but is that how it was?
Great
It was just-
movie.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, and that
Fantastic.
last fight
Yeah.
is one where you're on the edge of your
And
seat.
see, and it disappoints me because this should have been their final climax. They should have had their final words. Batman should have been the one to say, "You are not taking my city. Fuck you." If there's one,
Fuck you!
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you. If there's one thing that you don't mess with, is my city, man.
Well, in a way, he did.
Well, I mean, but then after that, I don't. That didn't happen. Bane sits down, and he lays down, starts crying, and then what really disappointed me? Yeah, you know, you see what he started crying. and shit?
When you start crying if you got your ass beat by Batman? Which I mean,
No, I'll be
there's your
I'll be
climax.
crying with joy. I'll be bragging. I got my ass beat by Batman. But no, what I'm saying is, I really would have liked to have seen them have their last thing. I really was disappointed. I hated that Catwoman came in and took Bane out. The Bane is this formidable foe, and Catwoman comes in, takes him out with one shot. And
Well,
Because
the,
he was-
the Bat Pod took him out.
Well,
But
because he
still,
was
it is her on the
already
back
undercut by the twist in the plot at that point. So,
Yeah.
which was fine with me because, like I said, I thought Bane. They were trying too hard to make him an interesting character. He needed less screen time, not more. And at that point, I was ready for any reason for them to take him out and move on to the much more interesting idea that that's Talia al Ghul. I'm like, oh, well, this is great. Now it really is tying back to the first movie. I liked that twist. I'm glad they gave Catwoman something really important to do there. In that
See,
sequence.
I wanted more Bane. I think Tom Hardy was great. I know they changed Bane around a lot, but as we say, this is Nolan's world. I wanted more of him. I want to get that feeling that this was the foe. Now I know Talia al Ghul was pretty much behind everything, but I thought it might have been cool as she disappeared and left him with Bane one last time, where they have, she reveals herself and is like, "Hey, Bane, finish him."
Well, the moment where Bane is like, I broke you. What happened?
What
And
the
Batman
fuck?
is
What are you
like,
doing
well,
here?
I'm fucking Batman, dude.
Was
It's like,
it-
yeah, you
didn't
fucked
you
up.
read the press
I mean, yeah,
release?
I know. Didn't you read all the comic books? No, but the
Go
thing
back to
is,
this Batman.
I got satisfied by that because it's like, you already had that epic battle, which I think it is a great, incredible fight scene with some of the best dialogue I've seen during a fight scene where Bane and Batman are going at it before he breaks his back. I mean, where just that whole rant about being in the shadows and Bane being born of it, and it's like basically telling Batman, it's like, well, you weren't born of this. You'll never understand this. And where it's like he makes Batman look like a bitch. I was like, wow. But seeing Batman just return. And Bane's just, especially after that speech, you're just like, wow, it makes you wonder what was going on in his mind. It's like, oh, fuck, what the hell? Where this guy, it's like, I thought I was the unstoppable force here, but I'm not. And just that fight where, he's beating his ass in front of that building and just kicking him, and he's just fucking being relentless to where, you even think, wow, is Batman going to break his rule to where, he's going to kill this fucking guy?
So I never got
but
that.
And the thing is, I did. And the thing with Catwoman shooting him, I kind of like that because, that took me back to somebody saving Batman's ass. That took me back to Commissioner Gordon,
Right.
Saving his ass from the Joker, where it's like Batman could have easily gotten killed. Somebody who should, it kind of completed her arc as far as her coming back.
See, I feel like those things were sponsored by the NRA because it's very much,
Oh, yes.
it's very much like, if you had a gun, this wouldn't have happened.
Well, if there's anything else that undermined it for me, I really hate that. I mean, I know people like it. It's just that's me. I hated that. I didn't get the sense of climax it could have had. Even though I thought that last 30 minutes was great, that fight scene. But the other thing that really undermined it for me is, she comes in and saves Batman from the biggest fool in the movie, and then gives a joke. And I think it just undermined everything that they worked up towards with that character, Bane. I hated it.
He was already defeated at that point. Let's face it. That was a last gasp. That was
Yeah, it really
Jason
was.
getting up one last time
Yeah.
before he gets knocked back into Crystal Lake. You're like, come on, man. That was he was done already. So that was her circle to come back. Like that was a her moment. It was not a Bane moment.
Yeah.
And for me, that was okay. My biggest problem with old Bane Batman matchups is that like I said, just from just going rewatching the other movies like today. like the other movies, while still I wasn't totally psychotically happy about the actual fisticuffs in it, they were filmed a lot better than they were in here. And Batman is just kind of doing like a drunken brawler here. He's just punching, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you're
a lot of
watching
punches
him
and elbows.
use his armor and like use little tricks and like use his bat cable and like swoop in and swoop out. You're like, wow, that's a cool. That's what Batman does. And here, there's none of that.
Well,
You're just like it's just like any. It's like any guy who knows how to box fighting another guy who knows how to box.
What punctuates that what's lacking about that is like he's fighting a bunch of thugs, and like they never rush him. They all like stand around waiting for their turn.
It's a whole city of thugs, and they just watching those dudes fight.
It's like, all right, you get in there. You know, afterwards, like, wow, guys, you know what? I bet if we attacked all at the same time, we could have beat him. Damn.
Are you talking about
the
the city fight?
No, he's talking
There's
about
just like there's
what are you
even times
talking
like when he was teaming up with Catwoman fighting guys, and it was just like they would stand around. He'd hit one, and the others would just be standing there waiting for him to come over to them.
You just jump on it.
Yeah,
But see, what you're
but
saying
before
is-
what
yeah.
he did with the shooting, you know, very quietly, like he was like a ninja in the first movie.
Exactly.
and,
And
then
the
they just
second
kind
as
of
well.
forgot all about that.
And see, Cyrus, what you're saying is it leads up to everything. Like with me, it leads up to me hating Catwoman shooting him out. It leads up to me Batman having a final brawl with Bane. None of it seemed epic for a foe that's supposed to be equal to Batman or even greater. That fighting, I mean, we should have, like you said, Batman's skills should have been showing instead
Well,
of
yeah.
just looking like he's punch drunk at that
Because
point.
when you watch it, I felt like I would just had to take the movie's word for it that Bane was tougher than Batman was. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like, well, we've seen him fight much better, much more interestingly than this. It wasn't interesting to watch. The dialogue, yes, co-host, no question, was interesting. I like what they were doing with what he was saying while he was beating him. But it's an action movie. I want to see a good fight, and that's not what we got.
But you know what? Can I? Well, you know, with the whole thing is I watched all three movies, and I remember what you said about the fight scenes. So when I saw that trilogy, I really paid close attention to the fight scenes in the Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
Sure.
And for me, I thought all the fight scenes, especially how he fought, the way he fought, was completely consistent all throughout. You know, there was never a moment in any of the movies where I thought, well, this guy's like a ninja. He's like doing flips. I never really saw any of that. But I will say that in the context of what the story is, especially when he goes to see the doctor, where that funny ass dude
Thomas Lennon.
where he's basically like
That was a weird cameo.
where he's like, you know, I think about, because I do think this is important. I think they established a scene like that
You have a good point.
to let you know that, look, he's not that guy from Batman Begins, and he sure as hell ain't that guy from Dark Knight anymore. This guy has no cartilage in his bones.
You're right.
His liver is scarred up. He has to wear a fucking brace on his leg. I mean, this guy is killing himself, which, you know, I think the movie showed that, to where he wasn't as stealthy. He wasn't the Batman. He was a deteriorating Batman, which is why I think I also love the scene with Alfred, where Alfred sees all this. He knows all this. He knows, like, look, you're gonna fucking kill yourself, and I can't hang out here and watch this. You know, I understand you have this purpose and you need to do it, but I'm just going to see somebody I care about die,
But all
because you
the-
can't handle what this fucking guy right here on this monitor, this guy who's a fucking unleashed force right now.
Yeah.
You can't handle that. You're not going to handle
All the more reason why that fight was unbelievable, because why would this Bruce Wayne, knowing all this and having all these marvelous toys, go into that fight and just do a punch-up?
sheer will. That's why he's
See,
Batman.
I was with you because you're right, because they talk about his health, how he's not able to be a stealthy.
But
when it
yeah.
came to that fight, and he's got the gadgets, it's like it didn't make sense for him to go like, okay, come on, you and I, let's trade punches. It's like, okay, the first time you do it and it's not working, it's like, okay, new strategy. I'm going to zip line out of here and come back and use the.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
what I got.
it just seemed like his last gasp, like him just throwing out shit. It seemed like I'm fucking done.
Well, you know what? I mean, nobody. Well, apparently I can't say nobody because people do. I can only speak for myself. I don't want to see an old Batman fight in an old fashioned style. It's like seeing Rocky going into the ring and just kind of bounce around and not do anything. Cool.
But what is the reason for those Rocky movies?
But to see him, like, I tell you why, is leading up to what we get to see here, what we should have seen in Batman, in my opinion. Yeah, if he's beaten, bruised, and he's not the same guy he was a long time ago, this is the chance to see this guy who we say is out for the count, muster up that last bit of strength to show us just how much of a badass he is.
Which is what he did, I thought.
I thought he just boxed. I didn't see the badass. Another thing, we talk about consistency in the movies. I mean, I'm trying to do my best not to compare it to The Dark Knight, but I thought he did a lot more kick-ass things in The Dark Knight when he was taking out the thugs who the Joker had. The people keep high. That was the Batman I thought we were going to see here. Like, he was doing flips and stealthy, and he was jumping all over the place. In this, I'm like, why can't I see that Batman?
He was being smart.
Because he's once again, because he's broken.
But that wouldn't affect his use of his tools and shit and skill level. I mean, if he's broken, he's not gonna go in there just swinging like a boxer. If anything, he's gonna use every trick he knows as a fighter to get away from direct contact from a guy who's 5 times your size. I mean, I don't know. That's the one thing I'll say is that the film has overtones before that at that point where, like, Alfred's like, you're just trying to kill yourself at this point, right? Which in that sense, you go, okay, I guess if you take that and go to that scene and go, well, he was just committing suicide, sure. But then the rest of the movie didn't really seem to me to lead to that conclusion for real at all. It's like, okay, well, it sounded like he had another idea entirely. And even if he was going to commit suicide, why would he do it that way?
Well,
why would that be the way? Wouldn't he still try to beat the guy at least?
But the guys in the prison, even they already knew. Like, look, you're a guy who's just you're waiting for that end. You're not afraid of death. You're just waiting for your last breath, just to have that end finally, like, just so you can be done with it. And that's why they're like, if you're trying to escape here, you can't have that attitude. You can't have that attitude at all because you're not going to make it.
I guess. I mean, I feel like that's making an excuse for a lack of a good fight. I mean,
how long are we going to dwell on?
I mean, but I'm glad
it is a pretty major problem.
I think so, but I was about to say, because I'm looking at the time here, I was like, I'm going to get to my last major problem with this movie which is. I know I like Anne Hathaway, but when I said I had a problem with Catwoman in the movie, I really couldn't say a lot of reasons why. And I'm glad Billy and I had this discussion today because he kind of felt the same way I did about the character. I didn't think anybody else saw it. I thought maybe I was nitpicking, but I just don't see what drew. I don't think that, again, with a movie that's rushed, I don't think there's enough character development for me. I know you guys liked it, but I didn't feel like there's enough character development for Catwoman. But I would let it slide. But yet I did not see why Bruce Wayne was so drawn to her. She keeps ripping him off, stealing his family jewels. I mean, she takes his mother's pearl necklace, and yet we're supposed to believe he's entranced by her. But I myself never saw that connection where he would just keep allowing her in his life. And
really, did you look at her?
Yeah, just be like, hey, whatever.
Well, plus she's really smart. She's incredibly talented, and there's more reason to talk to her because he knows that she, at that point, is somehow tied into Bane, and that she might be a weak link in that chain.
I can see that.
So that all made sense to me in that context. And there's only one villain in this whole thing that even we get to see their origin story for, and that's Two-Face. He's the only one in the whole series we get to see become that villain, really. Everybody else already is the person they are when the films start. And here, like, Catwoman is no exception. I like the feeling we don't need to see Selena Kyle's origin story in the context of all these films we've seen so far. We know who she is. We know what sort of person she is. I mean, she's an icon. She is the thief that ultimately ends up having a heart of gold, as it turns out, when the chips are down and when it's called on to have her humanity. In many ways, she kind of reflects a lot of things that are going on inside of Bruce as well.
Right. Where he has that, like, I can see some of me in you.
Mm-hmm. Which is great.
I can see myself in you later.
Yeah, right. Oh, don't we all wish? But that's what I loved about that opening scene when they're actually introduced to each other. It's like Bruce already has her figured out. And the thing with Bruce Wayne is that I think, along with his crusade to be Batman, he's also looking to change people. He's looking to change them for the better. Which is the whole concept of why you even want to be a good guy.
Well, it is the thing. Like, when she comes in and shoots Bane, it's a victory for him because he finally did turn this person that he's been trying to all along.
Yeah,
because you think she's taken off, and it's like, oh wow, he actually got through.
I could relax on Catwoman with everything that's said. That shooting Bane, I can't. but everything else, I'm like, I can see what you're saying with her. I don't need to know her origin story. I still don't feel like I got close to her enough to really appreciate her as a real character in the movie. But like I said, had it been a stronger script, I would have I would have
had
gladly
it been
let
two
that go.
movies,
But you
we
know-
could have spent more time with it. And I would have loved
Yeah,
that.
because you know what? That's the thing. That's the thing too. It's that I thought they actually had incredible chemistry, to where it's like, wow, it's like Bruce Wayne, Batman. He's meeting somebody who he should be with. It's like, it's like he needs to be with this person more than he even knows. And I just love that chemistry, seeing them on the screen together. Because I know you said they look goofy walking around. Where I was like, no, I had a hard on whenever they were teamed up together.
Okay, that was going too far.
Yeah, whenever they were teamed up together, I mean, it was like, wow, I almost would love to see a separate, instead of Batman and Robin, Batman and Catwoman story, with just seeing the dynamic between those two work,
Well, the
I
very
always
time
thought they
that-
looked
I
silly
found it
together
really
when they
cool.
were out in the daytime.
Yeah,
and that's because
exactly.
those costumes just don't work well.
Yeah, I thought
because
they
the
were.
rest of his universe is so serious, and every once in a while, and this happens in all three movies for me, every once in a while you see Batman in daylight and you go, that's kind of goofy looking.
Yeah, that dude was walking around. You'd be like, man, what's
Come
going
on, man,
on?
you couldn't get a better mask
Yeah,
than
where's
that.
Comic-Con at? But,
But you know what I'm saying? Really, I agree with you ultimately. There's just a moment or two where I was like, that's silly. But I mean, it's, I can buy into it. I can swallow that and go, no. The context of the film is that it's not, and I can deal with that. And it's true. One of the great things of the Batman mythos is that weird Catwoman Batman relationship that will never work, because ultimately, while she may still have her heart in the right place, she ain't going to stop being a thief. She's just not.
Yeah, and he lets it go for a while, and then he's like, look, you got to cut the shit, all right?
I was surprised by Heath Ledger. I was really surprised by Anne Hathaway. I realized, because you know what, every time she wasn't on screen, I was really missing her.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah,
the same way.
absolutely.
One thing I didn't, bring up before because we didn't want to mention it, but like thinking back to cinematic moments, like Phoebe Cates and the Fast Times at Ridgemont High getting out of the pool.
Got me through puberty.
And Cameron Diaz, that upskirt shot when she's getting out of the limousine in the mask, and then Megan Fox leaning over that carburetor and Transformers. It's those moments when you just kind of surprised, you takes your breath away, like. And then in this movie, when Marion Cotillard takes off her sweater, I was just like, holy fuck.
Oh, I thought you were going to say.
There's a profile shot in this movie where I'm like, holy shit, where did she get those
Oh,
tits?
yeah. You look
She bought him.
I thought something was wrong with the aspect ratio.
I know.
I thought you were going to say Catwoman on the Bat Pod, because there's a scene
well,
early on where
sure.
she's on it, and it's kind of from the side but behind, and wow, behind. Holy shit.
Well, I mean,
Anne
that I was
Hathaway.
expecting, but yeah, Talia,
Talia,
that
yeah,
that
I was like-
sweater, I was just like, God, fuck.
She's
Ba,
great.
ba,
She's great.
boom.
Yeah, she's fantastic at hiding her true identity and those tits. I mean, she really is. She really did come from the League of Shadows. Yeah.
Well, we don't have to dwell on this. I will just say this real quick before we end, because we gone on about the time I think we need to go on. We spent about a good hour on this. I would just say I didn't buy the whole thing with the bomb. That's all.
Yeah, I had more problems with the bomb itself. There's a questions of like, was that the best plan, and the way it went off, and even when it went off and everybody in Gotham cheered like, yay! And I'm like, yay! The wind's gonna blow all that radiation back to your city.
Yeah. I just didn't think it was a good plan. 5 months for a bomb to
It was
go
a
off.
kind of a crazy plan that didn't really, like, in the context of everything that they said they stood for. I was like, why are you even doing things this way? I didn't really get
Well,
their arguments didn't hold a lot of water.
It was more
from
like, look,
me.
if you just want to blow the city up, just do that right off the bat.
And
Well,
as well as how they're even
No pun
defeated
intended.
by it doesn't feel like it was a lesson for them either. Like the way the Joker, when he's defeated, is totally like, you thought you knew people, right?
Right.
Fuck you, buddy.
See, I looked at that as another, and then it's another thing where I have an answer for that.
Oh, go ahead, by all means.
Where with that whole idea of why they were doing what they're doing is because through the movie you realize that everything about Gotham and what it is all built on a huge lie. It's built on a huge lie that a lot of people had, a lot of people had a part in it. And, and plus the fact that where it's like, you can say, yeah, the League of Shadows knew that this was a lie. This was all built on a lie. Why Gotham is at peace. But, at the same time, too, it's like, well, it could also be Talia wanting to, get pure revenge on a Bruce Wayne and what she did to his father. And you can also say, as far as trying to find the logic in it, I look back at what Alfred said to Bruce. Some people just want to see the world burn. There's no rhyme or reason
But
for it.
But not the League of Shadows.
The Joker had no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, but Bane in League of Shadows, they're very calculating.
But the thing is, Bane. Yeah, but the thing is, you realize Bane is a henchman in a way. But he's devoted to the cause, even to where
I understand
he'd stay behind and die.
I understand the motives. It's just 5 years waiting for a bomb to go off. I just don't. I think that's
Well, that was
I think
done
that's
to see.
crazy. I mean,
well,
about
to see
5 months.
But the
5
thing
months
is,
for a bomb
Bruce,
to go off.
where I thought they were doing that so Bruce can see the city just crumble. Not only crumble from the outside, but on the inside as far as the people involved.
No,
in Gotham,
they put him in
you
a,
know?
in a pit where he would watch him on it, and I got that. It's just nobody's going to...
Could have done that shit in a week.
Yeah, in a weekend. Nobody's going to sit there. No city's... I mean, I know this is a comic book movie, but in this realistic world that they've set up, nobody's going to sit back and wait for a city to blow up.
It's one of those things like I'm reading No Man's Land now, where like Gotham has gone through this earthquake, and the government's just like, look, this is too big of a mess for us to even send relief in. Just either get out or just fuck you.
But the thing,
but in a real life, as he's put the more realistic this the movies, the superhero movie gets, the more you start applying real world physics and politics, and you go like, I'm pretty sure the National Guard or somebody.
yeah.
would come
But
in
the
there.
thing is like, did the people there? Not the League of Shadows, but the people in Gotham. Did they even realize that this bomb was going off? Because I'm trying to remember right now from the movie. I'm trying to remember if they just said, "Look, this bomb is here just so there's no outside interference from the government. Like if you come in here, we're blowing up the city." And I think if the citizens knew, if the police knew that this thing was going to blow up anyway, they would have reacted in a different way. And that's me trying to like understand, like, because I thought that was explained that look. These people don't know we're going to blow it up anyway. That's
Right.
we're
No,
doing this
you're
to
right. They
torture
didn't
you
know.
because they don't know. And you know, but the thing is, I would like to confirm that to see if like this, because I think yes, if the people knew it was going to blow, they would have done something earlier.
But even
on.
not knowing a bomb, is going to blow up or not, you only get so long that you can hold a city
And let's
hostage.
just
before
say
the
that they
entire
didn't know
government
that
gets
the
involved.
bomb was going to do. The problem there is that let's just say no one knew except the villains that there was a bomb there. There surely would have been evacuation missions put in by other cities, the government, to get people out. I mean, Gotham's a city full of wealthy people that are very, very valuable. There would have been some kind of evacuation effort.
Sealed
Which they
tickets or
showed that.
something.
Well, they
yeah.
showed that. They showed the CIA's guy,
Yeah, they
CIA
sent in
going
three
in
guys.
and get the three
Yeah,
guys,
would've
which
been a little
they were
better
trying to get.
But again, that's something that was.
But
you
they
know what?
immediately got killed.
That was
you know?
something I thought again was very rushed.
And
I
that
thought
poor
that was
guy,
something
that
to
guy's
elaborate
from Rescue Me, the head of those guys.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, I
yeah.
love that guy.
That guy is great.
Kill him
Yeah.
immediately. But I will say this: my problem with all that is less the plausibility, which I understand. There's definitely issues with it, but that, like I said before, or just organically in the context of these villains, why would you do it that way? It just didn't make sense to me. It was like there's so many easier ways to achieve your goals than this huge. Are you James Bond villains now? I mean, it's just in Christopher Nolan's universe. I felt like, well, that he's always done such a good job of really explaining why the villains were doing with what they were doing, and how that really is pretty clever. And here it was like, well, you guys stupid. What are you doing?
Well, I thought it's something that Bane, as far as what Bane did. This is why I kind of hold him. I hold him right up there with the Joker and Ra's al Ghul. Is that he accomplished what Ra's al Ghul and the Joker didn't? He showed Bruce exactly what would happen to the city if it became unbuckled and things started to fall apart. It's like the Joker's plan actually happened in this movie, and I thought that was cool.
Hey, listen, if it sounds like we're complaining, it's just we're just going through and explaining the criticisms that we had of the movie, that for reasons why we didn't think it was a perfect film or a great film, because I know that's what people want to hear. I still think it's a good movie.
I do too. Matter of fact, even just through this discussion, the lot of stuff co-host has said has made me want to go out and watch it again right away.
Yeah, we both wanted to. We just haven't had a chance to see it again. I mean, I actually, like I said, just rewatched the first two. Really glad to. It helped clarify some stuff for me as well. Helped me like some stuff I had problems with before, as well as you. You're really explaining yourself well. A lot of the stuff I don't still agree with you about everything.
That's cool. Yeah,
but
like
I appreciate giving the chance to go in with a fresh set of ideas and watch it again that way. Yeah, you're right, Corey. I'm not in love with this movie, and I think it is, in fact, the weakest of the three, at least from my one time seeing it. But still, a goddamn really good movie, even with all the problems that we're clarifying. And this isn't a 2 hour and 45-minute plus film. There's so much great stuff in here. There's so much wonderful Nolan moments. It's got a great soundtrack. It's got terrific performances across the board. It's still, people are going to think if they just heard this and not this part, they go, man, those guys hated that movie. And we really did not.
No. And I can sit here and say, no, you guys didn't hate it, because, that's the thing I love. That's one of the reasons why I love movies. That's why, I feel really fucking lucky, really fortunate to exist in this time to where I can watch these Nolan movies about a character that I really hold dear to me. And the one thing I can say about Nolan in these movies is that he is like made me rediscover who all these characters are, all these villains. He's made them interesting and unique. And, you know, I don't get that in a lot of movies, you know, and it opens up a dialogue where you can hang out with your buddies and talk about something like fucking Batman. And it'll be cool, and people are going to listen. Their ears are going to be hanging on every single word you're saying because that character is that much interesting. What makes him the legend that he is, which makes him the enduring character that he will always be.
He is one of the iconic characters of our time.
Yeah, and I love the hell out of it.
You know, I got a quick question for you guys. This is something I was thinking about when I watched the scenes with the Scarecrow, as when they brought him out as the judge.
They always got a crowbar to Scarecrow.
I know they got a crowbar, but I was wondering.
He's got some sort of blackmail on Nolan.
I know, but I thought it was cool. I saw how it fit, but I wondered. And I don't know if you guys have any insight on this. If that was meant to be a role for the Joker, because there's even a part where he makes a joke like the Joker at some point.
I will say this. Nolan and everyone involved swears up and down they hadn't even started on concepts for a third movie until The Dark Knight was well out in theaters. And he was already dead by that point. So they clearly weren't writing it with the idea of like, we'll put the Joker in this scene. I mean, according to Nolan, even specifically addressed this and said, there was never any idea to try and put like insert old footage, as some rumors went, or try and get a stand-in actor. None of that was ever even contemplated because, I mean, the fact that like Heath Ledger, I mean, he was a great actor. He won Best Supporting Actor posthumously, second actor only ever to do that, to win the award posthumously. Posthumously, you're right. Sorry. And you know why fuck with that?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the thing is, Christopher Nolan said a lot of things weren't true.
Well, true.
Wasn't supposed to be in there.
But that's one of those things that I do totally believe in.
Because I mean, if you think
makes
about
sense.
in Batman Begins, the Scarecrow had a lot of experience in the courtroom.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of made sense for me.
And the fact that he was in the second one too in a minor role, it's like
Yeah,
kind of balance things out to have him do something.
But you know what? In another world where, you know, I can't help, because me and my buddy were talking about this, we were just like, wow, how different would this movie have been if Heath Ledger were still alive? Like,
Man, that would have been, it would have been so awesome. You would have just exploded.
Well, you know what? But the thing is like, it is one of those things where, let's say, because I played with the idea, like I was playing devil's advocate, where I was like, well, do you think if they did put him in this movie and they didn't really recreate what they did in that last one, would that performance lose anything, or you know?
No, he would have delivered. And a matter of fact, you would have had the Joker seemingly working with Bane, but probably not. He would have been fucking with everybody with his own agenda.
A third act reveal with bring out the Joker and maybe even have him put a stop to them because, like, hey, this is still my city. I'm the only one who gets the fuck
And
out.
I told my buddy,
it's gonna be me.
I told my buddy I can almost see a team up with Joker and Batman, because he's like, you know what, this is fun. Fuck these guys. You know, I've helped them set all this up. But you know what? I'm going to team up with you just because I'm bored.
Right.
You know? It's like we've already done what we set out to do, but you know, I'm not getting anything out of this.
Right.
I'm going to fucking help you for once, Batman. And Batman's just like, fuck it.
Well, whatever. At this point,
Yeah, I know. I'll take
you
any
never
help
get to
I
do
can.
in these movies. My favorite Joker moment ever in the comics is whenever someone tries to take off Batman's mask. It's like, let's see his real face, and Joe goes, "Fuck you, that is his real face."
That's why I love, and I love that
He does that in the Dark Knight.
No, in the Dark Knight,
Sort
he does
of,
that.
not exactly.
Well, he does. Yeah, he pretty much does.
But the thing is, I wonder. I mean, Christopher Nolan says he's not going to do it. He says, but now if you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt taking over the mantle of the Bat, what's to say Bruce won't come back all old and haggard?
For the Dark Knight Returns.
For Batman.
No,
Begins.
Batman Beyond.
I mean, Batman Beyond.
Batman
Yeah.
Beyond. Yes.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
You're fucking it up.
Yeah.
Back in my day, this is how I did it.
It's not going to happen, but I'm glad he planted that seed. I mean, like,
Well, it'd
you
be
said,
like it would have to be a thing where
it's
Joseph
cool.
Gordon-Levitt was doing it for a while, but then died, and it's a couple decades later, and a new kid discovers it.
Yeah, we're going to see a totally different Batman.
Next one will be a totally different world.
Yeah, and for one, I'm eager to see what they do with that. I'm glad to be done with this one, not for any bad reasons. I think they just wrapped it up so well.
Yeah.
And if they try to do any more, that would be just messing up what
Nolan's
they did.
world.
good luck to them. That's all
Nolan's
I'll
world
say.
is satisfactorily completed, and it's very different from other ones. And I think someone could do a very different take on the Batman story and do something really cool with it as
and
well.
do just as great.
So,
I look forward to
exactly.
seeing what someone new can do with this.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
So-
a martial arts director.
All
Just
right.
saying.
Well, there we.
I was thinking that myself.
All right, people. That's it.
There you go. There's your Dark Knight Rises.
Shut up.
Someone's gonna go, but you guys never talked about this.
I know. We
Well,
talked
fuck.
about enough. All right, yeah,
Talk
we'll put
about
a lot
it next year.
I mean, there's a lot more we could go into there.
Plus, if you knew how mad
but we will
co-host
not.
really is
No,
at
we would
Corey
not.
right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even on my agenda, I was wondering if they had saved the Joker for the third movie instead of for the second one, because I think everybody wanted to see that was a character everyone wanted to see, and there's so many things that we could go through, but I think we kind of touched on what we wanted to do here, and that was just the criticisms that all of us immediately had with the movie, and we addressed them, and we hope people have a better understanding of where we're coming from.
But it's the internet, so they'll misconstrue everything we say.
They will everything.
That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah. Anyway, people, that's it. We're getting out of here. Good night.
What does that mean?
Rise.
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.